The salvage ship, winterbound, moved slowly through empty space, its engines humming like a tired animal. Ice crystals floated past the windows, glowing faintly as distant stars reflected off them. This part of space was cold, silent, and forgotten. Most ships avoided it. Humans did not. Captain Mara Ellison stood on the bridge, arms folded, eyes fixed on the wide screen. She had flown through war zones, pirate systems, and collapsing stars, but she always felt uneasy in deep cold space. There was something about it that made even machines feel fragile. "Scanner sweep complete," said Lieutenant Park from his station. "Mostly debris, old wrecks, nothing alive." "Run it again," Mara replied. "This sector always lies." Park frowned but obeyed. Humans learned long ago that space did not follow rules kindly. It punished mistakes. Survival came from caution, stubbornness, and refusing to ignore small details. The Winterbound was a human salvage ship, old but heavily modified. Humans were known for that, taking broken things and forcing them to work again. Other species called it inefficient. Humans called it practical. Caleb Ward, the ship's engineer, floated upside down in a maintenance hatch nearby, tightening a loose cable. He listened to the bridge chatter through his headset. "Captain," Park said again, voice tense now. "Picking up a heat signal. Very small. Almost gone." Mara's eyes sharpened. "Heat? Out here?" "That's what I said," Park answered. "It's weak, like a candle in a blizzard." Mara straightened. "Source?" "Escape pod," Park replied. "Old model, non-human." Caleb stopped working. He pulled himself out of the hatch and pushed toward the bridge. "You don't find live pods in this region," he said over the channel. "Not unless someone wanted them to die." Mara nodded grimly. "Bring it on screen." The main display changed. A small, damaged escape pod drifted among the ice and wreckage. Its surface was cracked. Frost covered most of it. No beacon signal. No active distress call. But the heat was there. "Life signs?" Mara asked. "Barely," Park said. "One. Very small." Silence filled the bridge. "Bring it aboard," Mara ordered. Park hesitated. "Captain, consortium law. Can file the paperwork after someone stops freezing to death," Mara snapped. "Move." That was the human way. Rules mattered. Lives mattered more. The Winterbound maneuvered carefully. Mechanical arms reached out and pulled the pod into the cargo bay. Cold vapor spilled as the bay doors closed. Caleb was already there, wearing a thermal suit. As the pod cracked open, freezing air rushed out, biting hard even through insulation. Inside the pod was a shape curled tightly in the corner. Small, thin, blue-white skin shimmered faintly under frost. Large, NET, crystalline eyes opened weakly, glowing dim like dying stars. The alien girl tried to speak, but her lips barely moved. Caleb swallowed. He had seen many aliens, warriors, traitors, machines pretending to be alive. This one was none of those things. She was a child. "Medical," he shouted. He lifted her gently. She was lighter than expected, almost weightless. Her body was ice cold, yet the scanner on his wrist beeped in confusion. Internal heat, fluctuating, unstable. They rushed her to the med bay. The doors sealed, and warmth slowly returned to the room. The girl shivered violently, her fingers glowing faintly as frost melted around her. Dr. Lin knelt beside the bed, scanning rapidly. "Species identification. Chrysalin," she said, her voice tight. "Captain." "That's bad." Mara entered the room. "How bad?" "The consortium classifies them as restricted bioassets," Lin replied. "Illegal experiments, forced labor, energy manipulation." Caleb clenched his jaw. "She's not an asset. She's freezing." The girl stirred. Her eyes focused on Caleb. Fear filled them instantly. She tried to pull away, but her strength failed. "No, please," she whispered in broken common. "Don't send me back." Mara froze. "You understand us?" Mara asked gently. The girl nodded weakly. "What's your name?" Caleb asked. "Scylla," she whispered. Her body shook harder now. The monitors beeped faster, confused by strange readings. The room temperature dropped slightly, then rose again. Dr. Lin frowned. Her biology is reacting to us. Sila's eyes filled with tears. She struggled to sit up, panic pushing her past exhaustion. She reached out and clutched Caleb's sleeve. Take me, she begged, voice barely sound. I keep warm. I can help. I can be your blanket. The room went silent. Caleb didn't pull away. Mara looked at the readings again. Power draw in the med bay had dropped. The heaters were working less, not more. That's impossible, Lin muttered. Mara knew better. Impossible things happened around humans all the time. They simply refused to accept limits as final. Sila, Mara said carefully, kneeling to her level. Who did this to you? The consortium, Sila whispered. They took my people. Used us. I ran. They will come. As if the universe wanted to confirm her words, Park's voice came over the intercom. Captain, we have a problem. Mara stood. Report. Consortium patrol ship just entered the sector, Park said. Heavy class. They're scanning everything. Caleb felt anger rise like fire in his chest. He looked at Sila, small and shaking, offering herself like a tool just to survive. Humans had a saying, if you don't draw the line, someone else will draw it for you. Mara turned to the crew. Seal the bay. Kill external signatures. Lin. Stabilize her. Lin hesitated. Captain, if we hide her. I know, Mara replied calmly. We become criminals. She looked down at Sila again. But we were human long before we were lawful. The ship lights dimmed. Systems rerouted quietly. The winterbound became colder to the outside world. Quieter. Almost invisible. In the medbay, Sila's shivering slowed. Warmth spread not from the heaters, but from her. The air felt different. Softer. Safer. Caleb noticed it first. He wasn't cold anymore. Neither was anyone else. Outside, the consortium ship scanned the empty sector and found nothing worth noticing. Inside the winterbound, humanity crossed a line it would never step back from. And in the coldest place in space, a small alien girl finally slept, wrapped not in fear, but in human stubborn kindness. The winterbound moved silently through space, its engines running low and quiet. To the outside world, it looked like nothing more than another dead piece of metal drifting in the cold. That was exactly how Captain Mara wanted it. On the bridge, the crew worked without speaking much. Everyone felt the tension. The consortium patrol ship was still nearby, slowly sweeping the sector with powerful sensors. One mistake, one strange signal, and everything would end. In the medbay, Sila slept. Caleb stood near her bed, arms crossed, watching the soft rise and fall of her chest. The strange thing was not that she was alive. The strange thing was that the room felt comfortable. The heaters were barely active, yet the air was warm. Dr. Lin noticed it too. This shouldn't be possible, Lin said quietly, checking the console again. Our power usage is down 15%. Caleb frowned. Down? Lin nodded. Ever since we brought her aboard. Sila shifted slightly in her sleep. A faint glow pulsed under her skin, like soft light behind ice. She's not just producing heat, Lin continued. She's reducing loss. It's like the warmth wants to stay. She's reducing loss. Caleb rubbed his arms. So she wasn't lying. Lin looked at him. About being a blanket? Yes. Lin sighed. No, she was not lying. On the bridge, Lieutenant Park spoke in a low voice. Consortium ship finished its scan. They didn't detect us. Mara exhaled slowly. Good. But Captain, Park added, they launched a probenet, passive sensors. It's wide. Mara's jaw tightened. They're hunting something, or someone. She already knew who. Mara activated the internal channel. Crew meeting. Brief and quiet. Minutes later, the senior crew gathered near the bridge. The ship lights were dimmed. Everyone spoke carefully. As if loud voices might travel through the walls of space. "She's a chrysalid," Mara began. "The consortium hunts them for their abilities. They treat them like machines," Lynn said. Caleb leaned forward. "Then we don't give her back." Park looked uneasy. "Captain, with respect, if we're caught, this ship is gone. Our licenses, our lives, everything." Mara met his eyes. "I know." Silence followed. Then Caleb spoke again. "She's a kid." That settled it. Mara nodded once. "We'll keep moving. Slow jumps. No ports. No signals. We get her somewhere safe." "Is there such a place?" Park asked. Mara didn't answer right away. Humans had explored much of the galaxy, but safety was never guaranteed. Still, humans believed in trying. "Yes," Mara said finally. "We'll make one." In the medbay, Scylla woke slowly. She blinked, confused, then stiffened when she saw Caleb nearby. "You stayed," she said softly. "Yes," Caleb replied. "We stayed." She relaxed a little. "They didn't come?" Not yet," he said honestly. Scylla sat up carefully. "They will not stop. I am valuable." Caleb frowned. "You're not cargo." She tilted her head, confused. "Then why are you afraid?" Caleb didn't have a good answer. Later that cycle, Scylla was allowed to leave the medbay. She walked carefully through the corridors, wide-eyed at everything she saw. Humans passed by and smiled gently. No one stared at her like an object. No one tried to scan her without permission. That alone confused her. She stopped near an engine access panel. The metal there was always cold. Yet, when she touched it, frost melted instantly. Caleb noticed alarms flashing on his wrist. "Wait, don't touch that." Too late. The engine output stabilized. Power fluctuations stopped. Fuel efficiency jumped by 3%. Caleb stared. "That's not possible." Scylla pulled her hand back, worried. "I am sorry. I did not mean to break it." "You didn't break anything," Caleb said slowly. "You fixed it." Word spread quickly through the ship. Wherever Scylla went, systems behaved better. Heat stayed where it was needed. Cold stopped creeping in. The ship felt alive in a way it never had before, and the crew felt better too. Sleep came easier. Joints hurt less. Even stress seemed quieter. Dr. Lynn ran tests. "Her ability reacts to emotional states," she said during another meeting. "When the crew is calm, her effect increases." Park raised an eyebrow. "You're saying morale improves efficiency?" Lynn nodded. "Through her." "Yes." Mara allowed herself a small smile. "Figures. The consortium patrol ship stayed close. It launched drones. It broadcast warnings. It demanded inspections from nearby vessels. Then it sent a message directly to the winterbound. "Human salvage vessel," the cold mechanical voice said. "You are harboring stolen biological property. Surrender it immediately." Mara cut the channel. Caleb felt his heart pound. "They know. They suspect," Mara corrected. "Not the same thing." Scylla stood quietly at the back of the bridge. She had understood every word. "I will go," she said softly. Everyone turned. "You will die," Mara said plainly. Scylla lowered her eyes. "I will keep you safe." Caleb shook his head. "That's not how this works." Scylla looked up, confused. "But that is my purpose." Caleb crouched in front of her. "No. Your purpose is whatever you choose." She stared at him as if he had spoken nonsense. The consortium ship moved closer. Power levels rose. Weapons charged. Park's voice trembled slightly. "Captain, they're locking targeting systems." Mara took a breath. "Evasive pattern delta. Prepare for jump." "But the engines," Park began. "They'll hold," Caleb said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. He looked at Scylla. She nodded once. As the winterbound pushed its engines beyond safe limits, something changed. Heat flowed perfectly. No energy was wasted. No systems overloaded. The jump drive stabilized. The ship leapt into hyperspace just as the consortium fired. The beam missed by less than a second. When space settled again, The winterbound was far away safe. For now. Scylla collapsed. Caleb caught her before she hit the floor. She was breathing, but weak. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I tried." Caleb held her gently. "You did more than try." Mara looked at the stars ahead. Humanity had just made an enemy, and somehow, it felt right. The winterbound emerged from hyperspace far from known trade lanes. Stars burned quietly around it, distant and uncaring. For a short moment, there was peace. Then the alarms sounded. Caleb was already carrying Scylla toward the medbay when the warning lights flashed red. Her body felt cold again, lighter than before, as if part of her strength had been left behind in the jump. Dr. Lin met them at the door. "Put her here. Now." Scylla's skin had lost its glow. The strange warmth that once filled the ship faded, and the winterbound felt like old metal again. Cold, tired, and fragile. "She used too much energy," Lin said while scanning. "Her body protected the ship instead of itself." Caleb clenched his fists. "Can you help her?" Lin nodded slowly. "Yes. But not alone." On the bridge, Captain Mara studied the star map. Their jump had been clean, but not invisible. The consortium would follow patterns. They always did. Park spoke quietly. "Captain, incoming transmission. Multiple sources." Mara frowned. "From where?" "Human ships," Park said, surprised. "Civilian, freight, even a research vessel." Mara raised an eyebrow. "Put it through." The screen filled with faces, human faces from different ships, different backgrounds. Traders, engineers, pilots. None of them wore military uniforms. A woman with silver hair spoke first. "Captain Ellison, we heard what happened." Mara stiffened. "You shouldn't know that." The woman smiled slightly. "Humans talk." Another voice joined in. "The consortium is spreading warnings, calling you criminals." A third face leaned closer to the screen. "We checked their claims." Mara crossed her arms. "And? They're lying," the man said simply. Again, the room went quiet. The silver-haired woman spoke again. "You have a chrysalin, don't you?" Mara didn't answer. "You don't have to," the woman said. "We already decided." "Decided what?" Park asked. "That if the consortium wants to hunt one small life," the woman replied, "they'll have to deal with all of us." Mara felt something tighten in her chest. "How many ships?" she asked. The woman smiled wider. "Enough." The transmission ended. Caleb sat beside Scylla's bed in the medbay. She stirred slightly, her breathing shallow. He noticed something new, small marks along her arms. Faint scars shaped like bands. "What did they do to you?" he whispered. Her eyes opened slowly. "They measured us," Scylla said softly. "Cut us, trained us. If we failed, they took the heat." Caleb swallowed hard. "You are kind," Scylla continued. "But kindness is dangerous. It makes others angry." "Let them be angry," Caleb said. "We're good at that." She looked at him with confusion. "Why?" Caleb thought for a moment. "Because humans learned long ago that if we don't protect each other, no one else will." On the bridge, Park reported new contacts. Multiple human ships dropping out of hyperspace. "They're forming a loose pattern around us." Mara straightened. "Escort formation." Park nodded, awe in his voice. "They're shielding us." Long-range sensors lit up again. "Consortium ships. Not one. 5. They brought a task force," Park said quietly. Mara felt the weight of command settle heavy on her shoulders. She opened a wideband channel. "This is Captain Mara Ellison of the Winterbound," she said. "Human vessels, you are not required to stay." Responses came instantly. "We're staying." "You're not alone." "They don't get to take children." Mara closed her eyes for half a second. "Then we hold," she said. The consortium ships advanced in perfect formation, cold and precise. Their commander's voice cut across the channel. "Human vessels," it said. "You are interfering with lawful recovery of property." Caleb snorted from the engine room. "They keep saying that word," Mara replied calmly. "She is not property. She is a resource," the voice insisted. Return her, and you may leave. Mara's reply was quiet but firm. No. The consortium ships powered weapons. Human ships moved closer together. No one fired. Yet, in the medbay, Scylla felt fear spike through the ship. Her body reacted without her thinking. Warmth. Spread. Not sharp. Not strong. But steady. Gentle. Lynn noticed the readings. She's stabilizing us again. But she's weak, Caleb said. Scylla opened her eyes. I can help. Caleb shook his head. You already have. The consortium fired first, not weapons, but energy dampeners. Space twisted as fields tried to drain heat, power, and motion from the human formation. Human ships slowed. Scylla gasped. Her body responded instinctively. Instead of fighting the drain, she changed it. The dampening fields weakened. Energy refused to leave. Heat stayed where humans wanted it. Consortium sensors spiked in confusion. What is happening? The alien commander demanded. Park laughed once, sharp and surprised. Captain, they don't understand. Mara smiled grimly. Humans rarely do what's expected. Human ships surged forward not to attack, but to shield. Smaller vessels moved in front of larger ones. Cargo ships took positions no war planner would choose. HFY was not about strength, it was about choice. Scylla cried out softly as the strain increased. Her glow brightened, then flickered. Caleb grabbed her hand. Stay with me. I am afraid, she whispered. That's okay, he said. We usually are too. Dr. Lynn stared at the readings. She's sinking with the entire formation. Mara heard it over the channel. She's what? Her ability. It scales with connection, Lynn said. The more people willing to protect her, the stronger the effect. Hars will. Mara looked at the fleet outside. Human ships, standing together. Not because they were ordered to, but because they chose to. The consortium ships began to retreat. Their commander's voice returned, strained. This behavior is illogical, Mara replied. We hear that a lot. The alien ships pulled back, their formation breaking. Silence returned to space. In the medbay, Scylla collapsed again, but this time, she was smiling. They left, she whispered. Yes, Caleb said softly. They did. Scylla looked around the room. Why did they all come? Caleb squeezed her hand gently. Because you mattered. She closed her eyes, tears slipping free. For the first time in her life, she believed him. The silence after the battle felt strange. Not peaceful, just empty. The human ships stayed close together, engines low, weapons powered down but ready. No one spoke for a long moment. They all waited, watching the dark space where the consortium fleet had vanished. Captain Mara Ellison finally broke the silence. All ships, she said calmly. Hold formation. Medical status reports only. One by one, voices answered. Tired, shaken, alive. On the winterbound, Caleb stayed in the medbay beside Scylla. She lay still, her breathing slow but steady. The strange glow beneath her skin was softer now. Like embers after a fire, Dr. Lynn finished the last scan and leaned back with a tired sigh. She's stable, Lynn said. Exhausted, but stable. Caleb let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. She won't be used again, Lynn added quietly. Not if we have anything to say about it. Scylla's eyes opened. Did we win? She asked. Caleb smiled gently. We did something better. We stood. She looked confused. That is winning? For humans, Caleb said. It usually is. On the bridge, Captain Mara received another transmission. This one was different. Wideband, open, and impossible to ignore. Consortium Command. The alien representative appeared on the screen, tall and rigid, its voice controlled but tense. Human vessels, it said. Your actions have been recorded and distributed. Mara raised an eyebrow. Good. You have violated multiple interstellar regulations, the alien continued. However, public response has been unexpected. Mara folded her arms. That happens when you call a child property. The alien paused. Several member worlds have demanded investigation into chrysalin treatment. About time, Mara replied. The alien's eyes shifted. The consortium will withdraw claims over the chrysalin species. A quiet shock moved through the bridge. You're letting them go? Park asked. For now, the alien said. The cost of enforcement has become too high. Mara smiled, slow, human, and dangerous. Smart choice. The transmission ended. Across human space, the message spread fast. Humans had stood up to the consortium not with war fleets or weapons of destruction, but with unity, refusal, and stubborn compassion. Other species watched closely. Some were confused, some were inspired, some were angry, but none could ignore it. Scylla was moved to a safer room, wrapped in soft thermal fabric made by human hands. Not because she needed it, but because she liked how it felt. It reminded her that she was protected. She sat near the window, watching stars pass by. Caleb, she said softly. Yes? You said I could choose my purpose. Yes. She thought for a long time. Then, I choose to help my people. Not as a tool, as a voice. Caleb nodded. I think you'll be good at that. Weeks passed. The Winterbound docked at a joint human research station built in neutral space. It was unfinished, imperfect, and full of noise, very human. Other chrysalin survivors arrived slowly, hidden in cargo holds, escorted by volunteers. They were afraid, until they met humans. Humans who brought food, warmth, bad jokes, and patience. Humans who asked names instead of measurements. Humans who listened. Scylla stood before a small council chamber weeks later. Humans and non-humans filled the seats. Cameras recorded everything. She was nervous, but not alone. Captain Mara stood nearby. Caleb watched from the back. Dr. Lin nodded. Encouragement. Scylla stepped forward. My people were hunted because we were useful, she said in clear, steady, common. But usefulness is not the same as worth. The room stayed silent. We were told our only value was what we could give, she continued. But humans showed me something different. And, she looked at the audience. They did not ask what I could do. They asked if I was safe. That moment changed everything. The consortium's control weakened as more truths came out. Other exploited species came forward. Systems rebelled not with violence, but with refusal to obey unjust orders. Humanity gained a new reputation, not the strongest, not the fastest, but the species that did not look away. Years later, a new station floated near a warm star. It was called Hearthpoint, a shared home for Cold World species and humans alike. Scylla walked its halls, taller now, stronger, wrapped in a human-made coat she loved. Children, human and alien, ran past her, laughing. A small human child tugged her sleeve. Miss Scylla? Miss Scylla. Yes? She asked, smiling. Is it true you once asked to be a blanket? Scylla laughed softly. Yes. I was very cold. The child frowned. Why didn't you just ask for help? Scylla knelt to the child's level. Because I didn't know I was allowed to. The child thought about this, then hugged her without warning. Scylla froze for a second, then hugged back. Later, Scylla stood by a window, watching ships come and go. Caleb joined her. Older now. Lines of experience on his face. You did good, he said. We did, she corrected. Caleb smiled. Fair. Scylla looked out at the stars. The universe is still cold. Yes, Caleb agreed. But not empty, she added. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had not saved everyone. But they had proven something simple and powerful. Even in the endless cold of space, warmth is a choice, and humanity chose to share it.